happy October. All right, so this month I have for you a Scottish jig because we have done neither explicitly Scottish tune nor jig in quite a few months, and these are just that shouldn't be happening, so we're going to fix that. It's actually one of my favorite jig feels to play, the specific Scottish dance jig feel, and here's this really great tune to do it on. It's called Charlie Hunters, and it's by Bobby MacLeod. It goes like this. If you're just listening, thanks as always for stopping by, and if you already learned it, you know the drill. We do this every month, right? So you may have already figured out that this tune is in D major, wonderful, cheery, bright D major. And you've probably already noticed that this is one of those tunes that's really great to work on your chordal arpeggios. Yes, lots and lots of arpeggios in this tune, actually in many Scottish jigs. Lots of arpeggios. So we're going to work through this really understanding those and the chords, because that's going to help you not only play this melody and remember it and have a lot of fun with it, but also if you want to accompany any of your friends, you'll know the chords that you need to play to do it. Okay, so let's play through the A section. As always, I'm going to slow it down and keep ornaments out just nice and pure so you can start to pick up what's going on. Here we go. Repeat, part one. Part two. Back to part one. Ending. Yeah, it's the A section. It's real short and sweet, isn't it? Like, emphasize the sweet. This is one of those tunes that just doesn't need a whole lot of extra stuff. Bobby MacLeod just nailed it the first time around and went, well, I'm not going to mess with that. And what a good decision it was. So you heard me calling out the form. If you have hung out with Tune of the Month at all, you know I always talk about the form of the sections. It's not just A and B. Within each section, there's a pattern. It goes part one. That's the part that you sing when you want to tell your folks how this tune goes, right? Hey, how does Charlie Hunters go? Hopefully you sing better than me, but that's called part one. Part two is the little answer to that. Part one will come back. I'm doing my imaginary sheet music here. And then there's an end. All right, and this tune follows exactly that format. All right, so you could just rewind this video and play that slow A section with me a whole bunch of times and just pick the tune up. Wouldn't that be a great way to do it? But if it helps you to break it down a little further, let's do that. So I have one pickup, and then I go right into part one, which is all arpeggios. We're in the key of D, so of course we're going to start with a D arpeggio. Yeah, pretty straightforward, isn't it? Let's do it again. One pickup, D major arpeggio. Here's G major, D major, all the way up. Yeah, now if you've hung out with past tunes of the months where we've talked about arpeggios, you know that I like to think of my fiddler hand in teams. I have my odds team, 1 and 3, and I have my evens teams, open, 2 and 4. That's all an even number team, right? Boop, boop. And this is very, very useful for arpeggios because when you're playing a 1 octave arpeggio, the whole arpeggio is going to stay in the same team of your hand. So check it out. D major's evens team, open, 2, open. If I want to go to the G chord, that's odds team, 3, 1, 3. Now I'm back to D major. That's the top octave there. But if I keep going, I'll go back to odds team. Because if I stack 2 octaves on top of each other, it's going to switch teams. Check it out. Try that with your D major arpeggio. Play a D major arpeggio starting on your D string. You'll notice it's an evens team. The next octave is going to switch over to odds. All right, and going back down, odds, evens. That's true for any arpeggio played on a fiddle-like stringed instrument. Other instruments, you have similar patterns on your fingerboards, on your holes, whatever it is you're playing, your keyboard, and you can find those patterns in your own lingo. It's really, really useful. Okay, so let's do this part 1 again. Pick up, D arpeggio, evens team, G is odds, upper D is odds. Yeah, let's do that again. Now let's start to get some bowing in here. We know from jigs past tune of the month with me and jigs elsewhere in your life, they tend to be running groups of 3 eighth notes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? This is a group of 8 notes. Can you tell? No? Okay, great. So yes, when we play jigs, to make them lilt or swing, we're going to not have those 3 notes created equally, right? Because the first note of the group is more important. So that we're going to use a little more bow on. We call it big. And then the other 2 that are less important, we'll use little. So notice if I have 2 groups in a row, it's going to go down, little. The next one is going to go up, little. Down, little, up, little. You see that? That is how you make jigs lilt or swing. And we'll get into the Scottish specificness of this in just a few minutes, all right? So for now, work on really making the first note of each arpeggio or each group of 8 notes big, and then use much less bow on the others. Ready? 2, 3, pick up part 1. D, little, G, little, back to D, little. Good, one more time working on that big little. I know you got those arpeggios now. Ready? And a big, little, big, little, big, little, up. Good. All right. So we're going to keep that big little bowing through the whole time. Let's keep going. Here's part 2. I have 1 pickup. So you notice this one actually has a bunch of little scales in it. Check it out, part 2, 1 pickup. Notice my big little bowing. Does your match? Yours should match. So check it out. Pickup is my G note, my low 2nd finger. And I'm going to continue down the scale. Now I'm going to skip down to my B note and go up the scale. Here's the one thing that's not a scale, A major arpeggio. Happens to be evens team, and then down the scale to take me back to D. Yeah, let's do that again, part 2. Little scales. Down the scale, up the scale, A arpeggio. Keep going down to the D. Good, one more time. Pick up and get that big little bowing working. Big, little, big, little, big, little, big, little. Nice. All right. As always, if you want to do that part a few more times, just rewind the video. It's the magic of the internet. You can do it as many times as you like, and I will be there to play with you. All right. So we just worked our way back down to the D, and guess what? It's part 1 again. You got your arpeggios ready? Let's do it. Part 1. B, little G, little B, little. Hey, that's nice. And now all we have left is the ending. It goes like this. One little pickup. Good, try that again with me. One little pickup. See if you can notice the patterns. Did you figure it out already? Scales, arpeggios, things like that? And I have my same, it's actually the same pickup as part 2, isn't it? Now here, that's a little neighbor tone, right? Neighbor tone is when you take a note and then go directly below and then back to the note. You could also go above. That's an upper neighbor. This is a lower neighbor. Here I live, there's my neighbor, and I come back to home. Neighbor tone. Neighbor. Here's an arpeggio, evens team. And finish on D. I like making up silly words that work. Do it again, ending. And neighbor tone. Evens team. Finish on D. Do it again. How's that big little bowing? Are you using less bow on the littles in both directions? Try it again. Down, little, up, little, finish on D. All right. Now notice when I make my big littles, I am not making the bigs by accenting. I'm not pressing. I'm not making my bow suddenly move way faster. That would give you what I call the head bashing jig, right? Not so nice. I wouldn't dance to that. Don't think you would either, right? I'm just doing it with the amount of bow, right? By using just a little bit more bow for those bigs. Not any extra pressing, not any extra zooming, right? Just thinking about lengthening the first of each group and then shortening the 2 littles that come after. That's what allows the beginning of the group to emphasize without over accenting. Please, no heavy metal jigs. We all love heavy metal. There's a time and a place for it, and Charlie Hunter's jig ain't it. All right, let's put that whole A section together. Part 1 with the arpeggios, part 2 the little scales, back to part 1 arpeggios, and of course our lovely little neighbor tone ending. Are you ready? We'll play 2 full A sections. 2, 3 with a pickup. And down, little, up, little. Part 2. Back to part 1. Ending. Neighbor, tone, evens, team, finish on D. Repeat. You were probably right there. And ending. Finish on D. Nice. All right. So you notice when you bow like that, you're always bowing down bow on the downbeat, which is always our goal, to emphasize gravity. Use gravity as our friend. Now, you remember from when we learned these little sections, every section has a pickup note, right? And this is where jig bowing can get really fun and expressive without screwing up the gravitational, I call it the principle of gravitational ease. It's down bow on the downbeat. So the pickups are where we can have some fun, because pickups act like buffer notes, and it doesn't really matter whether they play the pickup going up bow or down bow, so long as the next downbeat does go down bow, all right? So that means we actually have 2 kinds of pickups we can play. One I call a lifting pickup. That's what I was just doing now, playing all my pickups up bow, up, down. Do this with me. I'm going up bow, but I'm going to keep going up bow with a hooked bow, up, down. Up, down. Pick up, down. Try it So if you do that, you're actually using a hooked bow, right? Up, up, down. When you do those 2 up bows in a row with a little bit of space in between, that's what we call a hook bow, right? A lot of you just did it naturally because you hook bows all the time. If it's new to you, you can see it's not a big deal. There are 2 separate notes that happen to be going in the same direction, right? Up, down. Cool. You can see why I call that a lifting pickup. It gives it boom, this kind of gesture. Boom. Now don't let the name mislead you. I'm not actually lifting my bow off the string. I'm not doing this because that would make a crash landing. We don't want that. It's the feel of lifting. It's a sense of lift that the up bow naturally has. Now, I can play all of those pickups as a lifting pickup, going up and then landing down bow on the downbeat. Or if I wanted, I could do what I call a leaning pickup, where instead of starting just down bow on the downbeat, I'm actually going to start down bow on my pickup note and slur into the downbeat. Sounds like this. And you see why I call that a leaning pickup? It has a kind of feel to it instead of boom. Different character, but doesn't really mess with the bowing of the overall jig. So let's try 2 A sections, and this time we're going to do all the pickups as leaning pickups, slurring down bow over the invisible bar line. Ready? So start down bow here even at the very beginning. Down bow, down. Here it comes. Down. Here too, down. So you notice the difference. It gives it a very different character. Now we've played around with this in some past tunes of the month, but this jig in particular, Charlie Hunter's, is a really fun one to mix up, whether you're going to do lifting or leaning. All right? So let's pretend you've practiced that, or maybe you have. Maybe you already rewound the video and did it a few times with me, or paused and did it a few times yourself. Let's play 2 A sections now, and it is your choice each time you get to a pickup if you want to do lifting or leaning. Your choice. Do you want to or you want to boom? And it's really fun to mix it. The thing you want to make sure, no matter what you do with the pickup, the next downbeat where we're landing needs to go down bow with gravity. If that part gets messed up, it won't feel very good, right? Downbeats must always go down bow in this kind of dance feel. But the pickups are yours to choose. Ready? 2 A's. 2, 3, and... ending. Back to the beginning, part 1. Did you feel how I mixed it up and it made it so much more interesting, all the different feels? Yeah, and we haven't even touched the B section yet. We've just been playing around with the A section. Little bits of free choice bowing that happen when you have pickups. Now, hopefully you're also still working on your big little to make it really lilty and dancey. Yes, please. All right, but let's now go on. We're going to do the B section. And you get to apply all of those ideas as we go. All right, I'm going to play 2 B sections slowly so you can get it back in your ears. Hint, hint, listen for anything familiar that you already know. All right, that's the B section. You could learn it just by rewinding and playing it with me. You may have noticed either by listening or by noticing my dorky hint, hint, hint smile, the ending is the same for the A section and the B section. I call it a cloud ending. The A section ending and the B section ending are identical. We get the ending for free. Yay! All right, so now we only have 3/4 of a B section to learn. Let's do it. All right, so I have 2 little pickups here. At the beginning, I like to play them as quick pickups. All right. Yeah, I'll continue all the way to start part 2 there. Yeah, let's try it again. Do you feel some similar arpeggios? Think about the teams in your fingers. D major here. That's the high D major, so it's my odds team, 1 and 3. Odds team. And here's G major, odds team, just stay there. Try it again. Now maybe you've already figured out that when I have those little mixed rhythms, a quarter and an eighth, quarter, eighth, quarter, eighth, those are the pickup gestures, right? So when I do this, my pickups, I'm starting with a leaning pickup. Right here, I could either lift or lean. Same thing here, I could lift or lean. So I get 2 pickup choices right back to back there. Let's try part 1 of the B section again. You choose how you want to bow your pickups, lifting or leaning. Lift it will give it a happy, bouncy feel. Leaning will give it kind of like an earthy, chunky, rah feel. Ready? And... Notice I chose 1 of each. Try it again and bow it a different way than what you just did a second ago. 2, 3, and... It's fun to mix it up, isn't it? And you probably learned part 1 while you're at it. Here comes part 2, where we just landed on the E. We're gonna have a little surprise arpeggio. Yeah, the surprise is it's an E major arpeggio. Odds team. But that third finger, the G sharp, is going to be high. G sharp does not normally belong to the key of D major, but we're going to put it in there just as a little eyebrow, like, ooh, are you paying attention? Try it, E major arpeggio. That's part 2. Do it again, E major arpeggio. Do it again. How's your big little bowing working? Ready? E major part 2. Big little up, little down, little left. Try it again. Part 2. Good. If you need more reps, just go ahead and rewind. It's our last little bit. So we did part 1 and part 2. Now, normally part 1 comes back as an exact repeat, but sometimes if we've had a lot of repetition like we do in this tune, when we come back to part 1, instead of being an exact repeat, it's what I call a part 1 prime. Very close to the beginning, but a little variation. That's the case here. Here's part 1 prime. I have 2 pickups. I'll start them down bow. D major all the way, G major up. Short little arpeggios. This is a nice big one. All the way down your G major arpeggio. And now here's your G major arpeggio. Go all the way up to G. Yeah, try it again. Part 1 prime. All the way down D. Now all the way up. And you know the rest. This is the same ending as the A section. Choose right now what you want to do for a pickup, lifting or leaning. I'm deciding what I want to do. Yeah, that's that neighbor tone ending. And ladies and gentlemen, you have the whole tune, just like that, lickety split. Let's put together the whole B section. We'll go 2 Bs. Your choice how you want to handle any pickup-like gestures, leaning, slurring down across the bar line, or lifting up, down across the bar line, which will create a hooked bow. Here we go. Part 1, D major. And down to the G. Here's E major. Ready? Part 1 prime, the big arpeggios. All the way down. All the way up. The ending you already know. Good. Repeat. Part 1. Ready? E major. Part 2. Part 1 prime, big arpeggios. Cloud ending. And that's the whole tune. All right. Very, very nice. Now, to finish up, we're going to put the whole tune together. And we're actually going to put it together at a little bit of a faster tempo because I want you to start feeling this Scottish jig lilt. Specifically Scottish jig lilt. Now, if you wonder why we're working on this big little bowing so much the whole time, all jigs and pretty much all styles use big little. That's what creates lilt, right? If I don't change the distribution of my bowing from big to little, I get this. Right, we already said that doesn't dance. Now, what makes different jig styles sound unique is how big their littles are, right? The size of the littles relative to the bigs is what makes different kinds of jig lilt. If you notice, Irish jigs sound different from Scottish jigs, sounds different from Down East Canadian jigs, sound different from Cape Breton jigs, and so on and so forth. So yeah, how do you make the Scottish feel in particular? Well, the Scottish feel in particular is described as being very bouncy, right? And you might notice, if you're watching very carefully, how I'm getting that is that I'm making my littles so tiny that they're almost in place, right? My bigs are here, and my littles are like that big. The smaller I make the littles, the more Scottish and bouncy and lifty and snappy my jigs feel. So let's try the whole tune together. And it's going to be a little bit more of a moving tempo because this is harder. It's harder to feel the jig lilt when we're at practice tempo. So you may want to practice the tune and then come back to this part of the video a little bit later. But let's do it together right now while I'm here and see how Scottish you can make it. Keep those littles real tiny. Ready? 2 A's and 2 B's, just one time through to finish up. And of course, the pickups are your choice. 2, 3, and... ending. Part 1. B section. Did you start to feel that Scottish lilt happen, that Scottish specific lilt? It's fun, isn't it? All right, well, hopefully this gives you lots of ideas to practice with, play with, not only in this jig, but your other Scottish jigs and your other jigs, and in fact, all your other tunes, because that little rule of, well, principle of how you can change your bowings around, that applies to all tunes. Leaning, slurring across the violin, or lifting, up, down across the violin. And it's a really great way to have variation in your bowing and your sound no matter what tune you're playing. All right. Well, as always, if you guys find it helpful to see sheet music for this or any future tunes of the month, make sure you're subscribed to my email newsletter. Go to www.mariblack, that's me, mariblack.com, and hit subscribe, and all future tune of the month sheet musics will come to your inbox. It's my special gift for anyone who subscribes and stays in touch regularly. And of course, you can come back here next month for more tunes, and I can't wait to see you there. Have fun, guys. Happy fiddling.